Our program tonight is my last hurrah as the VP of Advocacy. When we planned this evening, we entertain no matter who wins the game. Our program and civilization. He states water will be the new oil of the 21st century. Funding for water systems has declined drastically. The Clean Water Act is not adequately enforced, so in some cities, water bond will appear on the November 2010 ballot. Meanwhile, in prepared remarks, he will answer written questions from the audience on cards like these. There were advocacy committee members and each of you for foregoing the Lakers game tonight. Broaden access to justice and insulate good Samaritans.
So, what I'd like to do, first of all, thank you so much, Ruth, for that generous introduction. Sketch for you some of the issues confronting our and a quantity of water that's basically fixed. A species of fish to die. But it isn't just that this one species of fish is at stake. And most of us haven't thought about farmers very much. Let's think about them for a second.
I do.
It means, well, this is Gene thinks about economically problematic areas in the country. 20 counties has embarked on a major water recycling effort. The folks in Orange County, I've been to Ashkelon in Israel, for example. There's a major desalination facility there. As she was talking about discussions of people who live in the San Fernando Valley differently with our scarce water supply. The legislature knows on a ton of money to transform the infrastructure of our state. The breadth of the implications of this issue. I'm going to talk about the first year in which I worked on this. I was the joint author with each. I will call on you occasionally. So, I haven't asked yet. This is not Jeopardy.
I understand that the water system in California was designed to serve 18 million people, and it is now serving...
In that several decades, from 1987 to the present. Well, in other parts of the state, it's different. It's a semi-arid area, as you know. So, conservation, major legislation, and that's now the law of the state. 20% by 20 water to develop because we don't have the same source of water here. Because of people boiling water at Spago, right? Different life seemed adequate at the time. It is now inadequate for us against the conservation measures we're engaged in. So, I wrote the conservation bill with Darrell Steinberg and Jared Huffman, my desperate users, including in the San Joaquin Valley. So France legislation requires us to monitor this problem. But I think this conversation is particularly meaningful.
Okay, I'm sorry.
First, California has a law that says you're going to grapple with the diminution required.
Now, how can they get their younger neighbors to do the same thing?
Right.
Well,
Right.
How could you have younger neighbors? Related to the external use of water of the house. Everybody knows you can water on Mondays and Thursdays, and otherwise serve water. And I think that most people find it kind of
These are professional people, and I don't know how...
easy things to do. You know, water should not be running in anybody's house ever. It should be on the door. It doesn't even... Here's you sneak over there. So one questioner is saying, what do we do about... And these plastic bottles contribute to that problem. Without elaborating on that, let's agree it's a huge problem. What do we do about it? Use bottles as well. There are 13 reasons why we should be using, what's your first name?
Renee.
Renee's bottle, container. All right? So two different levels you'll be talking about. The Water and Power Department is not under my jurisdiction. Nuts and bolts for a moment. We could become much more independent, used for those purposes. Be thinking in general that it's responsible for us now. As I conclude here, I'm so delighted that you asked me to come. We can email you information about the legislation. But as I conclude here, I want us to say this much. Things like cleaning up our groundwater basins will never occur without major investments. Moments in our history are moments that define what we do in the future. Assuring they have a good water future.
Right. Mr. Garcetti's had exhibitions everywhere.
For me, it was something that was one of those serendipitous events in life. I was your district attorney until Ray Davis, I'm sorry, Al Checky was the Meg Whitman of then. He put 40, not just prosecute after someone's committed a crime, I should talk to you. Are you willing? I said, sure. So I talked to him a few times. That was it. And the comfort is the law. So you'll probably join a law firm. You'll make a lot of money. But they're going to the Menendez brothers, but all the other things that went on. I said, yeah. But I said, that will draw them. But nevertheless, I said, okay. So I'm involved in the closer on his hands now. And they said, yeah, because I understand he takes... And we knew what the issue of water was. It's bad water that they have. And as a result, who brings the water back? The women and the girls. They're girls. They're not... The health improves dramatically. The birth rate drops. In front of the village, you can see the mosque there. When the rains come in, the typical village scene. I'm inside this household here. All the kids, but they all surrounded him. That told me something. In Burkina Faso, I counted them. There were 173 women and girls. Not one boy, not one man. They're walking. They don't cover the well. So how do they get it? They have to throw their goat skin or cow skin. I'm going to show you a photograph of some water that came out of there. Next, please. This is a different one, but it's another traditional well. Look at the girls. Much to eradicate Africa of the guinea worm, but it's still places in Mali, Niger, and Ghana. Xander is the one who said that. And Xander said, looked at it and said, why is she so sad? The water that's coming from it. She is now trying to filter the guinea worm parasite there, and you have an opening any 3 feet long. Next one in Texas, and you know the black oil comes out. This is more valuable to them. It is. Now you should start charging for money. Start charging, token amount, a token amount, every time someone wants to come and use it. And the reason what they're doing, they're building a latrine for a village. Do with my life. And they're told, say, well, you know, and she was angry. But when as soon as response, oh my God, I thought she was going to say a few hundred, over 6,000. Impressive person, forget the woman, just a person. I said, okay, thank you, it's really been a pleasure. No, let me show you. So we walked and walked, walked for equivalent of a couple blocks, turned the corner, solar panel. Went to another village where I heard that they had brought a borehole well and there was a girl attending school. So the Peace Corps, well, maybe she'll become a nurse because there's no one here who can help people when they're sick. I said, perfect, now I understand. And she was very dramatic. Very slowly, she's down like this, right? Very slowly, she just raises her head. And I was so impressed with him. I did something which I usually don't do, and that is take a photograph of the chief. So I asked him, can I take your photograph? And he said, yes. The answer before you ask it is, all right, you went there the first time. How did you wind up with this? Well, when I came back, okay, we've got to get involved here. I didn't know what I was going to do with water-related programs. And I will go out there and try and raise the level of awareness about this issue. I did, and they did a few wells. They were going to do one well. I think they did it for 4,000 people. But actually, you're talking about thousands of people. Dollar for dollar, up to $6,100. Big story. I had the pleasure of meeting the president of Mali, elected official. And then it's like, brother! He's like this. Immediate friends.
You always turn on the tap. Absolutely.
When their bones and the cartilage are not fully developed.
Yeah, early 60s. Traveling across for everything on the men that literally own it in many of the countries.
Many women throwing kisses to me, photographs, and take a look at it. If you want to look at the book, you can go to my website, garcetti.com, and you'll see it there.
We have the book.
The color is so fabulous. What the women especially are wearing. Oh. The last question? Yes? Level school. And they were a great audience. They asked some really good questions. I haven't seen the link, but that's it.